Geez, I hope that's going through okay. What's happening, everybody? Welcome to the show. Jimmy Doane Show, live on YouTube. Quick intro tonight. Again, today's third day of February 2021. Welcome to the show.
Okay, good deal. It's almost a short month. So we're going to cruise along. We're going to see what happens. A couple of quick announcements to get started.
Okay.
The usual. Gold has not moved, hardly any, still 18, which is surprising. Silver didn't, they were supposed to, somebody was going to try and do a short squeeze on silver, but
well, and then that turned out maybe to be a potential switch by apparently the powers that be. There was a lot of Reddit action that was suggesting don't go to silver. That's a ploy to get you to abandon GameStop. But who knows at this point? It's like we were talking about the little. If you're the little guy, man, you don't want to be in that Shark Tank.
You know, again, if the mice do not play around with dancing elephants.
No.
So
you can get one, you get him to jump. Okay, good.
Yeah.
You got him.
Yeah,
they should have bailed out at 75 or at 300 for sure. But
well, yeah, because now I noticed that it wasn't too long ago, GME was down to 100.
Yeah.
And so apparently, I mean, think about it. All the people that bought at 200 and 250 and 300, you know,
oh well,
they didn't have to buy. You know, maybe they bought only lousy 10 shares.
Right.
You know? And guess what?
Well, that was the gamble.
That was the gamble. They lost some money, and so we'll see what happens.
Probably.
Bitcoin has gone up a little bit. Now it's over 36,000.
Yeah, saw it breach 37 today.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
It was again, I'm always behind the times because I got to do this paperwork, you know. Now listen.
Stupid paper.
Yeah, stupid paperwork, right. Now, one thing I did catch something on YouTube that I want to tell everybody about. This is very important. Very important. If you get a chance, you go on YouTube, and it's about an hour and a half show, and it's Milton Friedman, the economist, the Chicago economist. It's called The Power of Choice, and it's a documentary about him and about the other economists of the time. Very good, very well done. I forget exactly who did it, but it's obviously
Friedman to me is good on 85% of everything.
No question.
He's Chicago school, so
right. Chicago school.
He still is a monetarist.
Monetarist, that's right. Again, they're pretty clear about this. Now, they also have on this show, they have Stiglitz, they have Keynesian in there a lot. They have what's his name, Galbraith, who he said, well, I've been friends with Galbraith for 30 years or something, but we're diametrically opposed, and they are. I don't know how you can be friends with that guy, but I mean seriously, whatever it is, the point is, it's a very great explanatory movie, and it's got some super little clips in there, some bumper sticker clips that he uses to prove his point. And he does. I mean, he proves that the fact is that competition is what makes the world go around. And when these people that say the government has a very specific and overriding role and so forth, but he goes through this. A lot of the clips in this show are from the big long PBS series that was called Free to Choose.
Right.
And so that was
the course title of his book.
Well, what happened was apparently they did. This was in the 70s, I think, when they did this, or maybe the 80s. I don't know. But they went around and it was on like 6 hours on PBS. I've got the VCR tapes still. But
I have the laser disc version.
Well, not right. Well, no. Anyway, the point is that this was it was divided up into various segments and so forth. They traveled literally all over the world to show this, that, and the other, and make his points. And he talks about it, and so that was like 6 or 7 hours. But in this 1.5 hour video here, The Power of Choice, they have clips from his traveling around in the various places. Now, some of the stuff is a little bit out of date because Hong Kong is what now has changed a little bit. I mean, stuff like that. I mean,
the surprising democracy.
Yeah. Well, again, it was and Chile has done some stuff. They talk about that. What they did in Chile.
Yeah. If it's that old, they're probably celebrating Venezuela.
No.
Oh, not Chile.
No. They just did Chile because he went down and advised Chile. But they what happened was, and also he did Estonia. After the Russian breakup, they had him over there. Okay. They had the president of Estonia, and how they literally in a dozen years, they went from nothing, from begging to a phenomenal.
They can do that anywhere right now if they would just establish sound money. I mean, if Cuba were to just say, you know what, we're issuing a new
Bolivar.
That's it. Whatever it is, whatever we've got, a Castro.
Right. And in fact, again, he talks quite a bit about inflation and that kind of stuff. The point is that this is, to me, this particular movie, at an hour and a half, is at least as good as Hazlitt's book, which was, printed. He wrote that in 1945 or something.
Right.
And
did he really? Was that old?
Yeah, I think it was 45. He might have updated it.
Well, it's nice to have it in video format. I'll tell you another thing that's coming out. Is Stossel's doing a series of short films on socialism.
Right.
And I saw the first one.
I haven't seen the first one yet.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
He goes into the same kind of thing. He's got somebody on there, a capitalist, who talks about. He's got some socialists on there. It was funny. They do a very good job of talking about the socialists who come on and say it was going great, but they just didn't quite adapt fast enough with their new socialism.
Yeah.
And the capitalist comes on and says, yeah, that's the whole point. Socialism doesn't force adaptation because it's some guy as opposed to a market force and the threat of bankruptcy and financial ruin that forces you to get your ass out of bed in the morning.
So at any rate, that I want to recommend that. As I say, it's going to be one of the best. If you are a little, even if you're libertarian, whatever, maybe you're an economist or something, but believe it or not, this is one of those things that can add to your knowledge, even if you are already.
So stop listening now and
go right over there. Now, speaking of Bitcoins. Bitcoin holders have stashed away 15% of the circulating supply. And apparently, what's happening is this is the squeeze part on Bitcoins, because there are a lot of people who apparently are not selling them.
Okay.
They're just holding on to them. So, well, guess what?
Well, this is not exactly a squeeze.
No, but no, it's not, because nobody's short Bitcoins. Right. If you own them, well, you can't short them. Although, interestingly enough,
wait till they start selling securitized trusts of Bitcoins.
Wait a minute.
No way.
Wait. You jump ahead. You do this all the time.
I'm reading.
You jump
through
ahead.
It's my psychic ability.
Is there a mirror here? Are you reading this?
I can see through the paper.
God
I sense
almighty.
The words.
Cryptocurrency Ethereum hits a record high ahead of the CMA futures launch. It's going to be listed on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, which means you can buy and sell it. You can sell short. You can short this Ethereum now. You will be able to.
Ooh.
No, it's like corn. It's like corn or hogs or coffee.
It's like tulips.
I don't know, but you know what's on the CME, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, is a bunch of stuff. I don't know, wheat and hogs and stuff like that. Pork bellies, right? Stuff like that. But anyway, so this one apparently is going to get on there, and it went over $1,500.
Yeah, 1,600 actually.
Well, okay, so again,
new record. I had 3 of them I bought 3 of them in the beginning,
and
gave one away. I had the other 2. I think I traded them for Bitcoin at some point, or
not a Bitcoin.
No.
A little piece of Bitcoin.
Yeah, little pieces.
Way to go.
Yep. Should have hodled.
Well, speaking of who should have hold, when I had mine. Anyway, year-to-date gains, that's this year already, 120% up. And so it's interesting. What I like about this is the listing of the Ethereum futures as a regulated exchange should serve to enhance the crypto market structure by allowing investors.
Oh, right, yeah.
Not speculators.
Yeah, right.
Investors.
Not gamblers.
No, not gamblers. Come on, I'm investing.
I saw a tweet the other day. Somebody said, I'm considering investing in doggy coin. And, of course, the response was like, invest? What? Like, pure gamble.
So anyway, to gain exposure to the second most important cryptocurrency as a diversifier to Bitcoin.
This makes gambling look like investing, is what I'm...
Right. Well, so anyway, or simply, and this is the thing is interesting, or simply hedging existing Ethereum exposures. And of course, that's what hedging is. hedging has been around forever, and normally it's on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, and that's what, as I said before, when a farmer has a wheat or something and he's expecting the crop to come in, he can sell it in advance for a certain money. And of course, the guy who buys it figures the price is going to go up, or somebody could quote sell it, and and then he'll have to, because the farmer agrees on a price, and so that he's going to make his money, but he doesn't get any of the rewards if it goes up. But by the same token, if the price goes down between planting and harvesting, he doesn't lose either. So that's what it's like, and that's a hedge. Of the most important kind. So I thought that was interesting.
Sounds capitalistic.
Yeah, well, it is. There was another thing I was watching about that. As the GameStop stock crumbles, newbie traders reckon with heavy losses. It says here, this is not a Disney fairy one wish comes true, one poster said. This is a place where one wants to enjoy the sadomasochistic part of the effing capitalist system we're living in. Well, wait a minute, it's not an effing, the capitalist system happens to be fabulous.
Yeah, look, some people absolutely got rich off of this.
Yeah, I know.
There were some people sitting in their basements who just happened to be paying attention to Reddit at the right time.
Yeah.
Had a couple of $1,000, threw it down on GameStop at $8 a share.
Right.
Sold it at 200, and they're loving it right now.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, people, you take the good with the bad. People are always trying to mitigate all of the badness out of life.
Well, that's what, of course, that's what governments do. As
I
you know. Governments socialize socialize the losses, and let's see, how do they
socialize the profits and
socialize the profits, and they socialize the losses too. So, in other words, you can't lose on some. In other words, they pay up. If you have a loss, the government pays up instead of having you.
And if you win, they take your profits.
Right. Well, or you get to keep some of it. I mean, I don't
know. There was another tweet I saw today. The woman said, if one monkey hoards all the bananas from the other monkeys, we punish the monkey. But if one human hoards all the resources, we put him on the cover of Forbes. And of course I tweeted back, well, if one monkey learns how to grow bananas and grows a whole bunch more bananas than all the other monkeys have ever seen before, and there's more bananas than anything, can the monkey who grew the bananas keep some extra at that point, or do they all belong to the collective? They never realize that the pie grows.
Totally grows. And of course I saw this when I first really saw this. It was when I started selling the Apple computers in the 70s. And Apple, even the store level, forget what Apple was making, which was a fortune, because as they ramped up the making of them, so they made millions of them, mass produced them. But we were getting them, and we were making, we were making 40% on what we were selling them for. I mean, that's unheard of in retail. You don't make 40%. And what that did is that drew in the competition, and that's when IBM started with theirs, and then Compaq, did the cloning of the BIOS. And the prices dropped dramatically, of course, because there were a lot of people that were satisfied with 30%, others satisfied with 20. Dell, when he started doing in his Texas college room, was satisfied with 25%.
Boxes that looked like cows.
Whatever, yeah. So, at any rate, the point is that profits tell you where you're supposed to invest your money.
Yeah.
And
sounds like cutthroat capitalism to me.
That's what it is. But I don't know, whose throat's being cut. Not
exactly cutthroat.
I mean, the fact is that Apple had to, in the competition, Apple had to continue to make it better. Make the product better, as we've seen, of course, with the iPhone, for instance.
It's absolutely the case. And, it's funny, I should not use the words cutthroat, because that is what they think it is, obviously. I was being facetious. That's what they think is, look, the only way you get resources is if you cut the throat of the other person and take it, and they die, they bleed out all over the table. That's not what happened.
No.
That you make more. There actually wealth precipitates out of the air, and then everybody has more. And somebody hoards some of the extra, but it's usually the person who came up with the idea or managed to produce all the stuff.
But of course, then they can be run out also because they didn't keep up. I mean, I think about, again, being in the computer field. I remember for a while there, when IBM tried to keep the competition out, and it was a real, I don't want to talk about the PC, I'm talking about the mainframes, when they started to come in from Japan and so forth, and they tried to keep it out, but the fact is they had to upgrade the stuff, and I was watching another video, because I'm a YouTube freaky these days, but I didn't realize this, but they were talking about a particular mainframe, and they showed the processor on the mainframe, and it was about this big, and it had maybe 500 cores, and it was all water cooled. It was a big heavy thing, and that was one of the processors. They showed how it fit into the mainframe. It weighed 2 or 3 or 4 pounds of solid aluminum, and all this stuff. The point being that that was their main machine from 1995 to 1997. When it was obsolete.
2 years.
I mean, can you imagine? I mean, these things were selling literally for millions of dollars.
Right.
Just this processor.
Yeah.
Which today when
and you think about the hours of engineering that went into the design of that thing.
My God, it's unbelievable. The guy took it apart.
Right.
He's an Aussie, I think, and he took it apart because he got it practically for free. They're throwing them away. They're throwing them away.
Paperweight.
Yeah, paperweight. Literally a paperweight.
Boat anchor.
Boat, yeah. And so he took it apart, and it was all, sealed. But the manufacturing that went into that, and they must have made thousands of them. I mean, just untold thousands of them.
Right.
And there, but this.
Hey, if you want a 386 chip, I know somebody.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. But I mean, when you think about it, it was 2 or 2.5 years is when this thing was in production, and then no more. We're moving up to the next one. This is God. You just
plug your iPhone into it now.
Yeah, Jesus, yeah. So I just thought it was interesting. Just this little processor part, of which was only a very small part of the whole thing, was 640 watts. Was just the CPU, one of them. There's another video on there of this fella, I think he's from Germany, and he got given to him an IBM something or another from the early 90s. It weighed 3,000 pounds. It used 3-phase current, a couple thousand watts at least, and he fired it up, got it running and everything, but basically they were throwing it out. It was no good anymore. It's the way engineering works. It's just fascinating to me that the competition is what makes those things so much better. It's just now, speaking of competition, guess what?
What?
Apple is going to invest $3.6 billion in Kia to build their Apple car. Now you think about it. Now they're planning on having the Apple car out. And they're hoping to sell 100,000 of them the first year in either 23 or 24. We're talking about 2 or 3 years from now. And they're going to build Kia and who else is the other one that's going to be with? Anyway, there's the consortium of maybe it's Hyundai and Kia. I think it's South Korean. We're just going to have it made.
Right.
But they put $3.6 billion into as an investment.
Right.
But again, you never count the mouse out, in Disney.
Right.
And you never count Apple out.
Don't count Apple out.
You don't count them out.
Yeah, I mean, relatively speaking,
they made mistakes, but
right. I mean, 3.6 billion is obviously a toe for them.
Right.
And it represents only a token, obviously, of the market. I mean, Tesla's market share right now is ridiculous. So.
Ridiculously high or low?
High.
Okay.
I mean, because it's gone up 10 times in the last year.
Well, you're talking about the price.
Well, the stock price, and so the market cap, and so therefore, I mean, the money that...
Yeah, but how many cars are out there?
Not many. Apparently, he's not even trying to make money selling cars yet. It's and everybody's talking about how it's going to be an information company or a technology company. The concept is something to the effect of, we're going to be able to pitch all of these people insurance because of the metrics that we collect on their driving. Or other things, so we can scale horizontally and things like that. So he's planning on really, he's got big ideas. But like you said, don't count on Apple. They do the same thing. And of course, their technology in terms of all the touchscreen stuff has always been, I mean, for decades, it's been a generation ahead.
Yeah, well, it's amazing because it is interesting because I remember it was 13 years ago that the iPhone first was announced. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
13, we're talking about 13 years, for God's sakes. And the co-owner of Microsoft, I figured which one it was, poo-pooed it. Said nobody's going to buy this. Well, nobody's going to buy this. Well, this
Crap.
Yeah, come on in. And of course they had their one that failed. Also their phone, but it just was one of those things. It was, of course, to me, it reminded of when Apple welcomed the IBM PC in 1981 into the system. Welcome on in here, come on in. And the next thing, it was only a couple of years before it flip-flopped.
Yeah.
So.
But you got to figure, I mean, Apple, I don't know if you've seen the inside of a Tesla. Have you?
No.
Okay, so it's kind of weird. There's a steering wheel and then there's a touchpad.
Okay.
And that's it.
Wow.
And it's like, I personally, I would put switches and buttons and stuff all over the thing. I would want hard stuff, but that's the opposite of what he's trying to do. So it's total minimalist setup. Now, the touchscreen, though, I mean, Apple has had how many years to develop generations of their touchpads at this
Well, not
point?
only that, they are the leaders in the minimalist after. When you think about it, it's a mouse. And there's a keyboard, but basically
it's always been one little freaking button or one circle.
Yeah, a little circly thing to select your tone.
Right. I mean,
it doesn't get any simpler than that.
No. And so I can totally see them. And look, you got to also remember that technology has sort of proliferated out in carnivals and places like that for the driving. I remember driving a car with some little stick, like all it did was, the little electric thing, and just move the thing around. You could easily do that electronically, just have a little, like you said, it's a mouse that appears when your hand goes over the keyboard or whatever. But like you said, I wouldn't count Apple out. I would imagine that the metrics for detection of objects in the road, that is to say, that type of programming, I could almost see the government commandeering that for safety purposes.
Really?
Yeah, something like
That's
saying...
scary.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you could say something like, look, since you've got all this stuff, you've got to share it with the other electric car companies so that they can not hit people.
Yeah, but they're going to do it. I mean, I think that they're going to do it anyway. I don't see, once the government touches it, it turns things to dust. It's really bad.
I mean, look, but they're going to get involved as soon as the money starts rolling out in the electric vehicles, which it's not yet. But like we said, Tesla's market cap right now is bigger than all of the other auto manufacturers combined.
Wow.
It's insanity. So
more than Toyota and
Toyota plus Honda plus exactly. And you're like, what? And they said exactly the jaw what? I mean, no chance. But that's why it's been just a ridiculous rise, and people are. I mean, look, I heard one speculation they'd have to make money for 1,500 years to
pay it back, right? Well, of course, that's the same thing we have here about our debt. With when we're looking at how many trillions of dollars do we have?
Exactly.
And you can't imagine how you're ever going to pay that off. I don't care how productive you are.
No, exactly. There's no way.
There's no way.
No
Kids are going
chance.
to bite that.
Inflation. So
anyway, I just think it's supposed to be. What the specs here look very nominal. 300-mile range. It'll go, but it says it'll go 60 miles on a 5-minute charge, which I think is kind of interesting. So if you have to drive up to a station and 5 minutes, which is about how long it takes you anyway.
Right.
And if you could go 60 miles,
that's as far as you need to go.
Hell yeah, you get home.
Well, so the big thing, obviously, that we're waiting on is the solid-state battery, and this is the next thing. This is what apparently John B. Goodenough is working on with his people across the street from Tesla, and the projections that they've made based on the prototypes that they've developed are ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, it's multiples in terms of battery storage capacity and speed of charging, and so I mean that's a total game changer. Like I was talking about before, speculating that if they get to the point of where the battery can propel you for 1,000 miles before you have to recharge it, then all the filling stations, poof, I mean, all the convenience stores are. I mean, then they're just mini marts. I mean, there's no need.
Well, you say that, but let me tell you something. If people will find a way, because look, who wants to sit in a car for 1,000 miles? For God's sake, you want to get off, you got to take a pee. You
Oh yeah, no. I'm saying it'll transform that.
Oh, it could
I'm
very
not saying
well.
that they'll disappear because people are still going to need them for mini marts and for stuff like that. I'm just saying it'll revamp that entire thing. I mean, like as it already has a bit. I mean, when I was a kid, every corner there was 4 gas stations.
Right.
And so I was. And it's changed.
And of course, when I was a kid, it was 29 cents.
Right.
And there were 4 gas stations on every.
And now it's 1 mega gas station.
Yeah. Right.
And so.
Yeah, with 14 pumps or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. Well, at any rate, I think that this is supposed to go to 160 miles an hour, 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds.
Yeah, everybody says the performance on them are ridiculous.
Yeah, ridiculous. Yeah,
and of course
Yeah.
But the one thing about it, I mean, I think as you can imagine from the design, as you get faster, it gets better, as opposed to.
How do you mean it gets better? What gets better?
Well, the engine works better. You get more power out of the engine at higher speeds with the electric.
No, that's a regular car. Yeah, the power curve on an internal combustion is like this. No, the thing about an electric battery is it starts off at full power.
Okay.
That's why it can do what it does. I mean, it starts off when 1,000 amps through the damn motor or whatever it is, and it's gone. I mean, do the math.
Yeah.
200 volts at 1,000 amps.
You're gonna move.
It's mucho kilowatts.
Mm-hmm.
So, at any rate, that's why it can go to in 3.5 seconds. I mean, let me tell you something. If you had, when I was growing up, for instance, if you had a 300 horsepower hopped up, funny car or whatever, you didn't go to 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds.
No,
you 5 seconds maybe, 6, 5.5. Yeah.
So that'll be safer.
Yeah. Well, again, that's the other stuff that's coming along. The only thing you have to worry about is the government going to come in and put their finger in.
Well, sure. Look, it won't be. We will not have electric vehicles for 10 years before you will have to sign on to the cloud when you enter a city, and your driving will be controlled by the central cloud grid. It'll just be you're guided in at this point. Where's your location? We'll get you there when we get you there.
And of course, that's when they start to charge you by the mile.
I mean, who knows if it'll be.
Well, how are they going to repair the roads? If nobody's
right.
So that's just.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they will, of course, sell that shit off.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now, the other thing I was going along. Of course, another one of the things that's been big important, is the riot, the overtaking of the Capitol. The whole deal. I mean, the guy in the horns went down there, and we're gonna do the whole thing. And what's her name's up there crying?
Yeah.
She's like, excuse my life. The rioters were taking it with the whole country.
Yeah.
Democracy is gonna fail. We're this close to having the whole democracy fail.
Hair's breadth.
I mean, just unbelievable. I mean, that was a time when we're talking about serious. I mean, what the hyperbole that is talked about that now.
It's off the charts.
But guess what?
What?
Myanmar.
Myanmar, yeah.
Myanmar. Police filed charges against the leader. Now she was duly elected by a big margin.
Yes.
As to be the owner, ruler, prime minister, whatever it was.
Yes.
They filed charges against the ousted leader, Aung San Suu, whatever, she's charged with illegally importing communications equipment.
Uh-huh.
And she's going to be detained until Feb 15th for investigations.
Uh-huh.
The move followed a military coup on Monday. Now, hey, AOC, bitch, I want to tell you what a coup is, okay? That's when the goddamn military shows up. Who's this?
This is the coup. Okay, so what's happening here is this girl does her aerobics every day in this location, and she didn't realize while she was filming her live aerobics that the coup is taking place.
Oh, this is in Myanmar.
Yeah. And this is the caravan of people, and they're going to drive up in a minute to the palace, which is over here above your head. And they're going to go take over. And this whole time, she's dancing here in the foreground. It's classic.
Well, what gets me, of course, she's wearing a mask.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. How many? We're the closest ones to her.
I know. It is what it is.
I know it is.
It is
funny.
just hilarious to see the look. See them going up across.
Yeah.
It's like there's a coup. This is a coup. Okay, now you want to know what a coup is?
Yeah, you
it
want to know.
involves military. Okay, you don't stroll in. Look, let me show you what's not a coup here. This is just a.
I just am blown away that they're talking about the insurrection
I know.
that occurred in the United States and this guy, what's his name? It was
Look,
either a.
This is not a coup. Okay, this is a man walking casually, unarmed, followed by a policeman who is armed into the Senate chambers. Them talking normally. There's two other people in there. There's nothing stopping this cop from killing all of these guys.
Right.
I mean, nothing is happening here. and this is the coup, and this is the picture right here, of course, that epitomizes the entire event. And it's just like, what, and he asked them, hey, can we leave, whatever, and they do, and that's it. And the difference between the two is so stark. I mean, as I was saying, look, there has to be, people have to understand this. In our laws, we do have what's called elements to crimes. Okay, there's certain necessary pieces that go along with every type of crime. And when you have something like assault, right? Like, assault is really scaring somebody. That's what assault is. It's not, people think of assault as touching somebody, hitting somebody.
That's battery.
Right, that's battery.
Okay.
Assault is standing in front of them. Usually, the classic example is you use fighting words. You say, I'm going to kick your ass. And then you couple that with some action, some manifestation of your intent to do the ass kicking. Exactly. That's what it always is. It is a clenched fist. And that's what you always see in the police report is so-and-so said these fighting words, F you, whatever, and then the clenched fist. It's written in there, okay? Here we have a situation where AOC, it's all in her head.
Oh yeah.
I mean, look, I feel for the girl because she's crying and everything, but when you watch her 10-minute video, there are multiple telling things about the performance here that to me makes me think it is a performance more than anything else. I mean, she's tapping. Look, she's very good. She's incredibly good.
No,
I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, no.
She knows what the hell she's doing. But you watch, I don't know if you saw this, but she's crying. Okay,
Well,
she's
I know
crying.
that. I remember that.
And from people who haven't seen the video, she's talking as she's crying. She's relating how somebody's screaming, somebody's standing in her office screaming, "Where is she? Where is she?" And she thinks this person's going to kill him. Eventually, she comes out of the bathroom where she's hiding, and it turns out it's not a murderer, it's her security. And then the security says, go over to somebody else's office or whatever it is. So in other words, it was all in her head. She totally misunderstood the danger there. It was not reasonable for her to infer that she was about to get killed in that situation. And that's part of any type of attempted murder was it reasonable to infer that you were about to get killed? Like if somebody says, aggravated, I was assaulted, they were going to chop me up. They were standing there in front of me with a machete. Well, what did they do? Nothing. They were just standing there. Did they? Then that's not assault. But she's imagining this stuff in her mind. She says after she came out of the bathroom, she looks at the security guy and she says there was so much anger in the way that he was looking at me. Mm-hmm. Like, no, there wasn't. He was trying to protect you. If he was angry at something, it wasn't you. And she's just inferring this stuff in an unreasonable way. It's like going to a movie and getting scared and then coming out and saying, we got to do something about that. It's like, it was a movie. It didn't actually happen. And here are some...
Well, easy for you to say. I remember the first time I saw King Kong.
Well, right. Well, exactly. And that's how she's feeling. But here's another little telling thing about her story. I don't know if you noticed this, but in the middle of her crying fest and everything, she relates how she was a victim of sexual assault.
Okay.
And she very convincingly comes out and says, I was a victim of it, and she cries about it, and she talks about being a victim. Now think about this for a second. She's not telling this story, okay, first of all, casually to millions of people about this private sexual assault thing. She's not telling this in the context of, say, a sexual assault situation. right? Like the Kavanaugh hearings.
Right.
Like,
right. Yeah.
She didn't bring it up then.
Yeah.
You know, she didn't bring it up in the context of people accusing Trump.
Of course.
Well, but why would you bring it up now?
Yeah.
If you didn't bring it up then, in
the Kavanaugh hearing, she's in the House, remember?
But the whole point is that she could have brought it up. She could have said, "Look, I feel for victims. I understand victims here. Let me relate to you this very personal story."
Okay.
And then come out in support of these victims. No. She's using it here to show how she should be considered a victim. She should have been considered a victim during her sexual assault thing, and therefore she should be considered a victim during this other thing. That's how she's using it. It's a weird comparison thing, and it's like a hypnosis. It's like a method acting trick. You know, this is what they teach you in method acting. Find a traumatic experience in your past and imagine it while you're telling the news story, and allow the emotion to cross over so that people assume that the emotion is real. That's exactly what you do. And so, you know, to me, this is like this is very fishy on every level. I mean, in the way she tells the story, she tells you, and she's relating it and crying to you, and she's drawing you in. And I was honestly feeling very sorry for her halfway through the story until she tells the part about the fact that it was all in her mind. And then I'm thinking to myself, why did you tell me that story that way? Like, why didn't you just say, I was afraid, but in hindsight, I didn't need to be because I wasn't in any direct danger right then. Like, yeah, boy, I was a little bit freaked out. Like, you'd actually be embarrassed about having been so scared of your own security. But that wasn't her purpose. Her purpose was to demonstrate the emotion. Her purpose was to show us the emotion, and she did it so well. At one point, she even looked at the camera and said, "I didn't know what I was going to do if I didn't make it. But I knew that you guys were going to be okay. I knew that you, the public, we're gonna be able to move on from this somehow." As she, I mean, it's like it is. I mean, seriously. I mean,
one thing though is she's only making $175,000 a year right now.
She's missing her calling.
Go to Hollywood.
She's missing
$20 million a movie.
Missing it. She is missing it. I mean, it is like, because this was seriously good. So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I think she's going to get away with it. I mean, I think everybody's going to jump behind her and support her. And you know, now she's coming out and saying, yeah, you know, in support of the victims and whatever. It's like, really? Okay. Well, we'll see. Oh, and this also, just so that you can see, whoops, here, this is the U.S. Capitol here up at the top. I don't know how well you can see this. Here's a road here. And then here's her building down here, the Cannon House office building.
Okay.
So she wasn't even in the Capitol.
Ah.
All right?
Really?
Yes.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
And then she ran apparently across the street to this other building here, which is, you know, where this Representative Katie Porter's office is. Anyway, all the Capitol stuff happened way up here.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I mean, this is like 1,000 feet or more away from.
Wow.
You know, this is a quarter mile away from where she is.
So there were no insurgents.
I don't know. I don't know if there were people going into her. There might have been. You know.
Yeah.
But
somebody here in the Jimmy Doane audience might want to fact check that.
Yeah. But now here's another thing, just real quick, and that is this is the. Along the same lines here, this is the map of the Capitol area. Okay?
Capitol Hill.
Yeah, Capitol Hill. Exactly. That's what they call it.
That's what they call it. Yes, that is what they call it.
So over on the left is the White House, and right below the White House is the ellipse. And that is where Trump gave the speech.
Okay.
That apparently incited the riot. Now, if you follow the green path there through the middle, you get over here to the far right is where the United States Capitol is, and that is where the mob happened.
Okay.
So it is about a mile, as I can tell from the Google map or whatever.
Well, is that all grass or what's the yellow thing?
No, the yellow thing is just a road.
Okay.
The green, I think, is park.
Okay. So
you know, and so you can see this green park down here below the Capitol is where AOC's office building is.
Okay.
And so anyway, actually between the two parks here. But anyway, the point of bringing this up is to show you that it was a mile away. The speech was a mile away. And one of the elements of incitement is imminency.
Right.
You can't incite someone to a distant time or a distant location.
Well, the fact is that if you'd been Roger Bannister, you could have made that run in about 4 minutes.
4 minutes, exactly. Now, here's the thing. People are going to turn back, and I know Colbert already brought this up. Well, Manson did it, right? He sent those people off to go kill somebody, and the thing. Total difference. And also, that was an extreme case that, has never been repeated.
Right.
And it's one of those things where everybody was like, how can you convict him? Because our laws really don't allow for that. It was only the special case of the fact that he was hypnotizing them on a regular daily basis and directly sent them to go kill, what's her name?
Well, even Jim Jones got 400 of his people killed.
But he went with them, you see.
Yeah, he did.
That's the difference is that Trump didn't lead them down to the thing.
Yeah, right.
Which is a big, huge difference, you know. And the other thing is, I mean, it was in terms of time, it was proximate, and it was about an hour. But that's not, it's close, but it's still on the side of constitutionally protected speech. Because we're talking about the difference between incitement and convincing. And as I've said before, if you convince someone with your speech one day of something horrible about, the capital of the United States, and they go do something, well, that's on them because they've taken their own agency and gone and done something. But if you incite someone immediately and say, go in there right now, take this gun and go shoot, that's a totally different thing. And that's what they're trying to claim Trump did.
We're going to find out.
Yeah.
So let's move along here.
Okay.
Because it's next week, of course, is going to be the great trial, I guess. And I've heard some of the counts, the accusations, and the response by Trump's attorneys to what they're going to charge him with in the Senate.
Yes.
So
they are doing the right thing, which is to say, they're saying he's not. They're starting off with he's not the president, so you got no jurisdiction.
Right. That's But then the other people are saying, yeah, we do. And
right.
So I'm not going to talk about it today because it's all rank speculation.
Well, and I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to come down to a very subjective opinion because there's precedent both ways. I mean, if you start a disciplinary action, a lot of times there's an arm that reaches out. The person can't just leave after that.
Okay.
So that's what they're going to say is, well, we started the impeachment while he was still president, therefore it attaches. They're going to be the argument, and that's a decent enough argument so that the Supreme Court could rule one way or the other. So.
Well, of course, we've got to ask yourself, it's not the Supreme Court in this case; it's the Senate.
Well, no. He is going to probably. That's a good question. I wonder if he can. What they should do, what his lawyers should do, is they should sue in federal court to bring it before the Supreme Court.
All right. Well, we'll talk about that one more time.
It's all complicated legal bullshit.
Yeah. Let's see
never mind. Keep going.
Okay. One of the things that I thought was interesting. A couple of things. Mm-hmm. One of the things that Biden wants to do, he wants to accelerate this getting to the $15 minimum wage.
Yeah.
I would imagine for all federal offices and so forth. I don't think he can do it. I don't think he's going to be able to do it for private people nationwide. They were able to get everybody into private buildings with the Civil Rights Act, but I'm not sure that the $15 minimum wage is going to come under anything like that, where people are going to be required to pay the $15 minimum wage. Although it's federal law, if they make it a federal law,
they're going to bootstrap it somewhere.
Well, anyway, what is interesting to me, of course, the question immediately comes there's two things. What's the magic about 15? 20?
Well, right.
22, 14 and a half.
That's the obvious.
I mean, are you going to throw the owner of the plant in jail if he pays $14.99?
Yes.
And
yes.
Okay.
Because it's immoral. And the counter argument to that is it's just a bigger number. But I mean, as I pointed out in another tweet today, somebody said, well, Robert Reich came out and said, oh, they haven't increased minimum wage in 10 years.
Right.
Well, if they hadn't been inflating every year since then the static minimum wage number would be a raise.
Right. Well, I mean, that's the whole point. The whole point is and that's the problem. it's not the owners of the corporations or the farmers or anybody that had anything to do with it. It's the fact that the Federal Reserve cranked up the money, and $7.50 would have
Can't
bought.
buy.
Right.
It would buy more right now.
It would buy more. That's right.
In a naturally deflationary environment.
So anyway, what they want to do, of course, it says here, they want to support a family of 4 on the minimum wage. And I'm sitting there waiting. You know, this. Okay, are we talking San Francisco, or are we talking?
Yeah, right.
Are we talking rural Omaha? You know,
when you say support,
yeah.
Are we talking dirt floor or?
So anyway, it says
bicycle.
The president's advisors say raising the wage from 7.25, where it stood since in the last 11, 12 years, would show gratitude to essential workers at grocery stores and warehouses who stayed on the job during the coronavirus pandemic, and would boost the economy by allowing low-wage workers to spend more.
So you're just ungrateful if you don't allow low-wage workers to spend more of your money.
I have no gratitude.
You are ungrateful.
Ungrateful, and of course this is the old thing, and they talk about this as if spending is the economy.
Right.
And of course, you can spend, but without production, without the stuff to buy, you got nothing. You know, you could have all the money in the world, but if there's nothing there,
there's going to be spending.
Yeah, I know. Well, which reminds me, I'm going to tell you that the corporate, of course, is wondering when we're going to get our checks.
Well, apparently there's a new. It's coming out.
Yeah, but they did say because of the impeachment hearings or the trial, that it probably won't.
Which is more important than our money?
Absolutely. Because here's the deal.
It's about your safety.
It's about your safety, that's for sure. But here's the deal. Unfortunately, they're kind of a little catch-22 here. Once they start the trial, they're not allowed to take up any other business. And so
we can't.
We can't.
We're not allowed.
Can't do it. Right. So the deal is, until the trial is over, no pengar, no dinero for you. So yeah, that's.
Okane janai.
That's right.
Look, that's bullshit. And that's stupid. That's so stupid on their part, because now everybody's going to be focused on the freaking trial, you know, and they're going to lose. I mean, they're not going to get a conviction. So it's just going to be a second failed impeachment, basically.
What's going to be interesting to me, of course, is when you realize what a bunch of useless tits on a bull the Congress is at this point.
Well, not only that, but
I mean,
this entire effort, so they get rid of Trump. Who cares?
Yeah, right.
I mean, who cares?
And
yeah. I mean, is Trump even going to run again?
Here's the deal. Good question. I was thinking about this. There has been one case that I know of where a loser, a president, has gone on, and there might be more, has gone on to, quote, a higher office.
Oh, right. Well, yeah.
Taft.
Right.
Went to be a Supreme Court justice.
Right.
But what's Trump going to do? Run for city commission?
No. The concept would be he'd pull a Garfield or whatever. He'd.
Oh, right. Okay.
But.
So Garfield or Cleveland?
Cleveland. Okay. Whatever. They're right next to back to back.
Garfield was.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever. I forget. They one is right after the other.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah. Look, they are. My point is that there's going to be other people. I mean, they could kill him and nobody cares.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
So it's like they're spinning their wheels. I mean, especially people who aren't. I mean, the only people who care are the hardcore Republican, the super hardcore.
Right, the super hard. There are some people that are cult followers of Trump's, no question.
But they'll switch over if a new person pops up.
And of course,
whoever pops up to challenge AOC. Oh, excuse me, it's Ivanka.
Right.
The 2024 is Ivanka versus AOC.
Okay. Yes. Now we're going to have a woman
Battle
president.
of the Babes is what it is.
Well,
they're going to get a woman president in 2024, I guarantee.
Kamala's going to maybe run.
Well, she's going to get so primaried from AOC.
You think?
Oh, my God. I mean, that is, unless I keep waiting for people to sort of wake up to AOC. I mean, at some point I keep waiting for AOC to say something like, like she already had, like this to me. I mean, to me, there's a bunch of shit she's saying things like, I almost got killed. You know, there were people with plates and barbecue sauce and picnic stuff, and they were clearly going to carve me up and eat me. You know, they had charcoal and they were next to a grill, and they were in the park at the Capitol. So, you know, clearly I was about to be barbecued. And, you know, at some point when she says something like that...
She didn't say that.
I think she did. And see, at some point, they're going to hear that and they're going to be like, yeah, is that...
Well, but like you say, this is one of the things that we talked about before, and that is the whole current administration and all the hangers-on, I think, are going to engage in some overreach.
Yeah.
And that's the case of overreach.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see how this trial goes.
Yeah, you know? Right. Well, we're going to see. That's exactly
how many bawling House reps they escort off of the. It's okay. You know, they bring them down from the stand.
Yeah, right. Now, moving on. 2 California supermarkets are closing after city orders a pay hike. This is in Long Beach. Kroger Company will close 2 Southern California supermarkets in response to a local ordinance requiring extra pay for certain grocery employees working during the pandemic. They call this hazard pay.
Right.
And so they've legislated, no unions got together, no strikes, no nothing. They simply legislated an extra $4 an hour for employees of the supermarkets. And here's the deal. With at least 300 employees nationwide and more than 15 in Long Beach. Now, really... I mean, I'm sitting there. Who came up with the 300 and the 15 in Long? Why not 299 or 350? Like you said,
look, people. The socialists they have the ball. They are running. They have the bit in their mouth. The barn is right there. They are running for. I mean, who is it came out this week and said, "You want to see democratic socialism in action? It's your kids' public schools." And my thought was, is that supposed to be an argument for democratic socialism? I mean, but that's how they're thinking at this point is you solve the problems by printing the money and just doing the thing. And so it doesn't surprise me a bit that that's the solution. You know?
Interestingly enough, on that movie that I told you about before that you have to go see, the Milton Friedman one, they have a segment of it on schools and how the choice of schools made them all better.
Of course it
Even
did.
The public ones.
The competition, look, it's like, how do people not understand the benefits of competition? And now you have this one-size-fits-all schools situation, and you have a situation like we have today in San Francisco. The city of San Francisco has filed a lawsuit against the school district to force the teachers to show up to school. And so, I don't know who pays the bills exactly. I mean, you would think they would just be able to say you're not getting paid if you don't show up.
Yeah.
Call the governor or something.
Well, they got a union,
Well, that's the whole thing. Apparently, though, I'm assuming that either the Board of Education or the school districts are separate and powerful enough and funded in some sort of...
Well, that's why they're funded here.
I know there's some separate secret...
We have a separate line item
exactly.
On the taxes, yeah.
And that's why they can't just call up and say, don't pay them this week if they don't show up.
No, it's a separate funding source.
But they're going to bury themselves. I mean, the schools... because here's the deal. There is still school competition. They almost crushed it out.
Yeah.
But they didn't crush it out before. And now they've got their foot in the door. The charter schools have got their foot into public education money. Like they're clawing back some of that, and people are even getting on board with that. Like, forget about the private schools are doing everything, on their own anyway. But even the charter schools are clawing back some of the public money. So
well, they were talking in this Milton Friedman thing. They were saying that the charter schools in this particular location, wherever it was, inner city, and they get half the money per student. And yet 94% of the kids go on to college, whatever it is.
Competition rules, man.
Yeah, it does. It absolutely. So anyway, the $15 hazard pay was approved Tuesday by the Oakland City Council. In Los Angeles, the City Council voted to draft a similar ordinance. So
is that still a city? I thought they
Los Angeles went down the toilet. Well, speaking of California, just for a moment, you did see where Adam Schiff
Oh yes, Attorney General.
Attorney General. Yeah, can you?
Well, look, they already survived Kamala Harris as
Yeah, but this will be another one, So okay.
Kamala.
Let's see and we have to get here. We have to kind of move along here. The Democrats push forward on the $1.9 trillion. That's all up in the air. We're gonna we'll talk about that probably Sunday more.
Yeah, well, we'll see if they do.
It's going to be a big, bold package. It's going to be small. I mean, I'm not sure anybody really knows what they're doing at this point.
Man, they're giving away money.
Yeah, well, the whole thing is a lot of it's going to be stalled because of this impeachment. They can't do anything while the impeachment's going on. So
they should only need to do that for like 2 days.
We'll see.
I mean, they can't. They're not going to call any witnesses or anything, because if they do, that opens the freaking door. I mean, they've got it. Look, they haven't even suggested. I mean, they have suggested it, but they haven't put forth any evidence at all that shows that any of the people who entered the Capitol building actually were at the Trump speech.
Right, that's interesting. I like the part though was there was watching it on the. Oh no, you just showed it, where the guy with the antlers walked in. Walked in, and here's your insurrection.
That's it. I mean,
this is not Myanmar. This is not Myanmar.
He's unarmed. He had a guy. Look, I could have stopped that insurrection. I mean, and look, I know that there were some areas, where they did they have people on both sides of the doors, and the cop getting squished, and the chick got shot in the face and stuff like that. Look, I'm not saying it's not serious and people shouldn't go down for it, because they definitely should. It should be the same kind of thing as when they broke into all that shit over the summer.
Yeah.
But insurrection, there has to be better than 1 in a million chance.
Yeah.
You just.
Yeah, we'll talk some more about that. We need to move along here before.
You're good.
This I want to talk about, because this got me. L.A. Speaking of L.A. County puts a new restriction on restaurants ahead of the Super Bowl. No TVs.
Oh my God.
No TVs in the restaurants. Okay, LA public health officials released new restrictions.
Do they remember that they are TV land? I mean,
so they said indoor dining is still prohibited, but outdoor dining, no TVs. Television must not be turned on. Employees who come in contact with customers must wear a face mask and a face shield.
What?
Yeah, no more than 6 people may be seated at a table, and they got to be related.
What in the wide world?
Every person, they must be within the same household, and tables must be placed 8 feet apart, not 6.
You can't. So you can't go. Everybody has to be related at the table.
Mm-hmm. From the same household. Whatever.
So you can't meet your buddies.
I guess
or meet
not.
one buddy.
I guess I don't know.
All right.
They said because officials said they placed restrictions on TV operations because they fear Super Bowl watch parties could become super spreader events.
Of course they fear that.
Of course they do. That's for your own safety.
That's right. We're concerned.
Can you imagine you in the restaurants? First of all, everybody has to be outside, and they're spread apart like all over here. And you got your 52-inch whatever it is up here, but you can't turn it on.
This passed through my imagination threshold back in like April. Honestly, I thought we were going to see a tidal wave, as we talked about in April, a tidal wave of lawsuits suing all the municipalities and the states and establishing precedent by the Supreme Court saying people have a right to work under the 9th Amendment. You cannot shut them down. You cannot lock people who are not sick in their homes. I mean, there are just precedent after precedent I expected to get set in lawsuits, and none of it happened. And then I expected it to go down in the fall when school didn't start. I expected the parents to go in there with literally torches, which I don't know if you saw. Did you see Denmark this week?
No.
I mean, literal torches in the street.
All right.
I mean, literally.
The Danes.
Let me see if I can get this one right the first time.
Wasn't Macbeth a Dane?
Yeah, exactly. No, this isn't it. This is them taking the kids out of the hotel in Portland, I guess. Some kids had occupied a hotel there. Let's see. No, this is a thank you for the governor of Minnesota. They all came out, or was it Minnesota? the hot girl governor who no Dakota.
Dakota.
Dakota, and they came out to thank her.
Okay. Super
so-
spreader event there.
You are totally. You know, and let's see. Come on, baby, come on, pitchforks. Let's see. There it is. Look at this.
Oh my God!
I mean, torches.
The Danes.
Torches.
Nope. Where are the pitchforks? That's what I want to.
Well, I mean, look at this. There's 500 or 100. I mean,
This is not. You know, these are a lot larger than lighters. You know, when you
No,
go,
seriously.
you have a little lighter. Remember?
Yeah, no, exactly. No, this somebody gave these people torches.
Oh
and,
my God.
I mean, it's just this is what I expected to see twice already. So the fact that we're not there yet, I'm just like, I guess y'all don't even care. I mean,
Yeah. Okay. Well, but this is about time. I guess we had a little problem here with. I'm gonna have to write to DeSantis, our governor.
Mm-hmm.
Has decided he's going to take on Facebook and Twitter and those places.
Yeah, I saw
thought-
something. I know. I saw
I'm
that
thinking,
he moved on them, and I was like, why the hell is he doing that?
He said, seeing the power of the social media companies' censorship over individuals and organizations, which I believe a clear viewpoint of discrimination under our proposal, the technology company that deplatforms a candidate for elected office in Florida have a daily fine of $100,000.
What?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Until the candidate's access is restored again. But it goes on and on about. But this was just, to me, DeSantis said wanted to label the social media companies as monopoly communications platforms that have become enforcers of preferred narratives. And I was thinking, no, wait a minute.
Everybody
Sorry,
needs to get a clue and quit trying to shut everybody else's speech down.
Yeah.
And just let everybody say everything and then sort it out.
It just to me, it's we had one here locally. I don't know if you know this, but we had a fellow here that wanted to become a at-large city commissioner.
Okay.
And it turns out that our city hall down here is, because of the COVID, is locked a lot of times.
Okay.
And I think you have to have like an appointment or something.
Yeah.
So he went down there on the last day for.
Sorry, no appointment, can't sign up.
He couldn't even get in.
Right.
It was locked, and the guard was. And he said, "Look, I've got to follow these papers.
Yeah.
I got until noon.
Call this number.
No can do. Yeah, right.
There's a number on the door. I went and filed some stuff, and fortunately, I was able to talk them into letting me in. But you could tell the first thing they did was send me to the drive-through, which had a line like Chick-fil-A at it. I mean, It was like, okay, and literally, like, I got there, I waited in the Chick-fil-A line for like 20 minutes before I decided to walk up to the freaking door and bluff my way, or not bluff, but I talked my way in, and then. Exactly. I'm wearing a... No. That's right. No. I was able to convince them that I would be quick and efficient because I knew what the hell I was doing.
Yeah.
So they were like, all right, get him in
Well, this
here.
guy, it turns out this guy that wants to run for the at-large, it happens to be a black.
Okay.
And so they're really, there's
a problem.
Yeah, well, it's, of course, I forget how many of the people on the city commission now, I think, is a majority.
Yeah, I was going to say majority.
Yeah,
I think.
something, I don't know. Anyway, the whole deal, it was a big blow up in the paper and the news here locally because, what do you mean? He was there, like at 10 o'clock or why? What do you mean our city hall is closed?
When I got back out of my appointment, the same person was at the front of the Chick-fil-A line.
Oh, God.
It was like 30 minutes somebody was sitting there haggling with him. Just if you just wanted to pay your parking ticket, that's what you were sitting there for like an hour or something. I mean, that's how bad it is. So hideous. There is a website up now that allows you to sign a petition for Governor DeSantis to prevent municipalities from invoking COVID restrictions like masks and lockdowns.
Okay.
So you can sign up for that online. I don't have the exact...
Well, there's another law here locally that they're going to get ready to do, and that is they're going to try and get away from having legal notices in the newspapers, because now you can go to their website to see the legal notices.
Oh, right. Yeah, and who reads the newspaper anymore?
Well, not only that, what they said was, this what I thought was interesting was that they said, well, the newspapers are saying, look, not everybody's got a laptop or whatever to see this stuff online. And of course, my thinking is, who can afford the damn newspaper? I got a newsflash for you. It's $3 on Sunday. It's $2 every day. I can afford let me put it this way. I can put a down payment on a nice laptop for what it would cost me to get a newspaper.
Well, legal notices has always been a little bit spurious. They always say, the statutes say something like, leave this notice in a conspicuous place,
right.
Unobstructed, and
they have that.
posted within 30
they have
feet.
to put them in the newspaper, which is one I do know that it has to be for local paper, it has to be a daily of some kind.
Certain point type and with a certain circulation.
Right. And they did for a while. It was the High Springs Herald or whatever it was.
Well, the Alachua Record is the one that we do.
Okay, right, the Record. Yeah, that's right.
That's the cheapest one to do legal notices in, that has a big enough circulation to qualify.
Who reads it?
Well, nobody. And so that's why I'm saying they're a bit spurious. And so, but it's just a sort of a general effort. It used to be that newspapers were pretty good. If you put a notice in the newspaper.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
But these days, I'm guessing that there's going to spring up some sort of legal notices website for your area news service at some point.
Still, you got to go do it. I mean, it used to be so much easier to just go to the legal section of the newspaper.
Yeah.
And when the newspaper didn't cost an arm and a leg, God, I'll tell you. With this let me tell you, to put it this way: the Inquirer has more news and more news and pages than our local Mullet.
And it's more accurate too.
You're right, exactly. That's right. Anyway, I'm done.
All right, me too. All right, thanks a lot for joining us. Thanks, Kevin, for these tracks. We really appreciate it. We'll be back on the 7th of February. So send us an email if you like. Send us a Bitcoin if you like. And we'll see you soon.